This video is fabrication. It's all about fabrication and playing around with my newer to me prime weld multi-process welder stick, but it has taken on it, and plasma cutting. I'm going to be working with an old engine stand and converting it, making an adapter for it so I can put big, single slug, dual slug, lawn tractor, lawn and garden tractor engines, of which, you're talking 17 horsepower, 15 horsepower and up. I have setups for the smaller engines, but this should give me the ability to do vertical and, in this case, horizontal. Big Mike's Kohler Magnum 20 horsepower twin slug, very heavy machine. And I have the same one. His motor blew up and he went and found another tractor, which we got the parts tractor. I put out some videos on that. Parts is parts. So now we have a nice engine to put in his tractor. We got to do the swap. But I thought I really do need a place to a way to work on these engines, and not just on the bench, on wheels that I can stabilize, that I can move around the shop. That section, Studio B, it needs wheels, right? If I could put the whole studio on wheels over there, it'd be good. I need things I can move around. Space is tight. I need versatility. That stand came from one of my earliest motor projects. I think it was a 289 out of one of my 5 or 6 or so 60 series Mustang, 67, 68. Back when I was about 18, I was working on cars and pulling motors before I had a license, That stand's all American steel. Unlike the donor, the red donor, which is, Chinese. I bought that from Harbor Freight many, many years ago. Either Harbor Freight or Northern Tool, I don't remember. So this is old stuff, but update it, get it on wheels, get it so I can move it around. I don't think it's going to be my run-in stand, but it'll be a good work stand. I've got a lot of motors out there abandoned. You don't want to just put motors like these up on a work table, especially a vertical shaft. So I thought, let's design something that we can sort of resurrect. This shit was all down here rotting in the basement, sitting around for 25 years or 15 years. I don't know. I actually used two of these recently to do work on some older Corvette engines and etc. Let's get started on this fabrication video. By the way, I'm very happy with the welder so far, and that'll be another video as well. Let's get to fabricating and welding and cutting and having a good time, and hopefully you guys enjoy this one. This is very thick, so same gauge basically as everything else we're working with. 1, 2, 3/16. I like this, whatever this setting was. Yeah, 2.5. So we're trying to go to, good standard measurements. We want this to be placed as far back as possible. I can just drive it right through. We'll drill holes later. And this is the longest, thickest piece I have. It's perfect, but I want this collar. I don't have anything else this size in this dimension. This is very thick. It's not as thick as the American steel, which is this old black stand. Anything red is newer Chinese steel from Harbor Freight or whatever. This is big red jacks, the 1250, 1,250 pound heavy duty stand. I want it to come out about midway. So some of these engines are going to be very wide, and we want to be able to spin them in such a way as that it clears the bolt here, it clears everything else. We don't want the weight to be too far out, but you want to be about midway. I'm just going to lock this in for now. 35 amps. Like butter. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. All right. Yeah, that's nice. Nice and cleaned up, beveled. So I'm using a piece of right angle iron for the setup, and I'm gonna clamp it, but I just cleaned up in here a little bit. But once it's clamped, it'll hold its position, and you can see, and I beveled and deburred. So there's a few little gotchas on there, but nothing I would write home about and get mad about. Decent stinger. So first time striking an arc in I don't know, 25 years. That's it. That one's decent. Yeah, right in there too. But yeah, let's get these welds cleaned up. You know, as you close it up, you know, it's not as dirty. So when you make subsequent passes, yeah, it needs a good grind.
Moments later.
So what I'm looking for, this is probably welded, but we want to pick this out and maybe run 3/32 right over that just to make sure. We want to pick all these little holes. We want to get some locking wheels too for this. You see? See, that's a hole. So that's why we want to inspect it. Now, a little bit of porosity of pinholes, that's not a problem. So we want to go in there, we want to grind that and then spot it. So stick was an important, to me it was an important addition. I'm very happy with the welder, it's working really good. This is almost done. I'll see you guys tomorrow. We'll get this cleaned up and we'll be good to go.
The next morning.
All right, I figured, right, just as an inspirational. Yeah. So this is the setup. Isn't that nice? You can rotate in and out. 1/8.
So no make a vacuum air will flow into it.
A big screwdriver in.
And then
Like that.
Managing the
Oh yeah. That's We'll walk these through. And if I have to, I'll clean up the threads, but you can see. Yeah, it's just hitting something on there. It must have got a little bit of weld or something. So I got out my big die grinder, and you can see in there, see that? I just want to hit that. These are usually like seam tubes that they use, nothing fancy. And so just gonna grind that out, smooth it out, first with that tip, and then I'll finish with a cartridge roll. And then I'll finish this up and look for any little area that I might want to hit. Just to knock off the old paint. This is, the Rust-Oleum's good paint. What's underneath is rusty metal primer, which I like because it's pretty thick. It looks good. All right, I'll set up some lights in a bit. I'm cleaned up enough in here, right, just to paint. This is clean. I wiped it down with a rag and some detergent. But right before I go to do it, after the lights are on, I'll towel a little bit of solvent. That way we got, there's nothing on there. And it's pretty clean in here, right? It's not 100%, but it's, for this, it's excellent. I'm tripping over this wood. All right, let's move that so I can walk around. I'll clean off a spot up there. I'll set up my jam gun. We're going to just start off with a little bit of primer that I have, rusty metal primer. We'll thin that down, and somewhere in there is a big can of black. Where is it? Is it down there? I don't know. I think it's down here somewhere. All right, I need 2 hands.
20 minutes later.
I did thin this quite a bit. Mineral spirits and lacquer thinner. The lacquer thinner will burn off quicker, but because it's damp out today, lacquer thinner does have some alcohol in it, toluene. And that can pull water in. So we don't want that, but it will dry a little thinner with the lacquer thinner. I think it might make gray, right? That's gray. Geez, I painted that 25 years ago. It was all rusty metal primer and gray. So that could use another color wash, not now, but, and this I wanted to finish up. That needs gray. That's not gonna get any gray on it, right? That's gonna be black and something else in the custom color that I made. I love the patina of it, but no, we wanna clean that up. So yeah, let it flash. It's almost done flashing. It's going to stick really well because we prepped the surface well. Let's see if we can make some gray. So this is an old can, you can see by the rust, and this is a newer can. Gloss white. It's V7792. I'm not tilting it. We're going to open it. And they're both Rust-Oleum oil base. And this is standard. Just says satin white. So I don't like gloss, but it is useful under certain conditions. Now notice I plastic bag, usually saran wrap, or I take a like a Ziploc bag and I only use one side of it. So we want to open them up anyway. They're going bad, so usually I poke holes in here. Now this has not been opened in a while. I found this in the basement 2 years ago, and it had been sitting down there a long time. And I think I opened it up, took a peek, stirred it or whatever, and let's see what we have. You know what? Let's take a peek in the other one first. This is sealed. right now. We'll get to that in a second. That's still sealed. And this one I used recently. So, yeah, see how it's just starting to get that cream on the top? We're gonna wanna stir that up and then reseal it if I don't use it. But it's 3/4 full. So we'll get to that in a bit. I'm gonna I forget what these knives are called, multiple edges. Want to get in close to the can. I don't want chips going in here if I can help it. Yeah, there's that nice oil. Now I like to put the holes in the can because we want drains. I don't want to disturb the sealing area too much. Yeah, what we can do is use up like half of this and then add some of the satin. There are additives you can put in to reduce gloss. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to stir this one up and I'm going to stir the other one up. And then I got an extra can here. This is from a yellow chromate solution. But I got an extra can. We'll prep that up. And we're going to open up the black in a bit. So this is the satin in the newer can. Well, that's looking real good. This is the gloss, so in the older one. We'll work with that first. And I want to make a good amount. Oh, that's a blob. That was a blob. We don't really want the blobs. All right, so we need to get that blob out. We'll put a little bit more in. Black happens quick. Very potent, so gray will occur very quick. That's really what I mean to say. So, I don't know. Let's just start off with, adding it in sort of ad hoc. And the black is the satin. And we got room in the can for the other paint, which I should close. Just put the lid on for right now, which is a satin paint. See, look, it's happening already. See how quick? But you'll get a better look at it. But I want a darker gray. So I want a pretty dark gray. So I'm going to pull it in and make it a little bit dark. And then we'll add some satin to it. But I want a rich gray, like a much darker machine gray. I like some of those colors, especially on some of the older machines and stuff, the lathes and mill presses and stuff like that. When they started going to gray, or people started painting them gray, I mean, the real early stuff was black, and I mean, the patinas were just amazing in some of these machines as they got a little bit of patina to them. So I want to kind of start experimenting and moving in that direction anyway, is as I restore older tools and older machines, I want to have sort of a go-to color palette. So we're already in the gray palette zone. And we got about a half a can. I want about 3/4 of a can of paint to work with. We're going to go a little darker. And you can see we're not using very much black paint. Well, this paint was also sealed the same way I usually do, and it didn't have any skinning or anything like that on top. There is another way you can, you get your seal and everything ready, and then what you do is you take your one of your gas welders, and you can just decouple the rod drive mechanism, because there's usually just like a little plug on the side, and then right before you close it, you spill some of the gas in it and you close it. Okay, that gas is a little heavier than air, and it will fill this void and it will seal it. So CO2 argon mixes, whatever one you want. CO2 would be fine, just CO2. So if you have a CO2 container from something, you could even use propane, honestly, as long as there's no oxygen in it. We're getting close. I'm going to go a little bit darker. Now, after I spray my first coat, if I want to come back and adjust, but I don't think I'm going to need to. Let me show you. So I started up real good. I add a little bit more. I'll zoom in. Yeah, there's less glare. That's a nice gray. That's about the color, even a little darker, but it's going to lighten up. So I've stirred this up. So this is our satin. And I'm going to bring it up about 3/4. All right, that should work. I don't want to use too much of the satin because I want the satin, and it is newer paint. And we just want to tone this down a little. Yeah, see, it got a little bit lighter. All right, we'll see it in a second. And then I might go a little bit darker, just add a little bit more of the black in. But it didn't change it much. And that's really what I wanted to point out. So we're almost 3/4 full. We're certainly beyond the halfway mark. Yeah, that's nice. That's a nice color. So now I'm going to put away the satin. I'm going to leave the black out. We're going to use a little bit more of this gloss and just kind of bring it up a little bit more because I want a little bit more paint in here because we're going to use it. So this is not only going to feed this project, but it's going to feed other projects as well.
A few moments later.
Put away all the other paint, all sealed up nice. And I adjusted this to about where I want it. I think that's good. It's deep, it's rich, it's gray, but it's a darker gray. You know. All right, I got a little can here. I'm going to mix them up. These little guns here, hold on. These are small, but I sprayed about half a cup. I filled it up all the way to the top. It's about half a cup. Maybe a little less. There wasn't that much left of primer. And some areas got a lot of primer, like it was wet even into the night. I mixed that up into this. You can still see a little bit still wet down there. And this cup is about the same because I didn't fill this one all the way. So as a general measurement, I love these, by the way, the little diced tomato cups. I like the diced tomatoes too. I also like the ones that you get for the paste. They make great mixing cups. I have actual mixing cups, but these are useful. Today's much nicer out. It's much warmer. It took a while to dry last night, so I'm going to mix this up with some mineral spirits and some lacquer thinner. So a little bit of mineral spirits and a little bit of lacquer thinner to help it to dry a little quicker. Tomorrow's Easter, so if I have to get 2 coats on today and clean up around here, then tomorrow I'm not going to touch it. So it has all tonight and tomorrow to dry, and then by Monday we can put everything together. Yeah, I think it's almost dry to the touch. There's some wet spots in the usual places along the corners of things. It's soft. Yeah, there's just a couple of places. But a couple hours later, so it doesn't need any more paint, you know. And there's some of the old little pimples or whatever that I didn't try to get off. I didn't try to get off all of them. What's the point? Good enough. All right. Tomorrow, Easter, chill, relax, and by Monday we can load that motor over there on it. This one here in the bright light. Bright light. Yeah, we'll be putting that on it. Yeah, no matter what project it is, if it's the least bit involved, everything comes out. But I was telling Big Mike, like one of the things I'll do with some of these projects, because the parts aren't all in yet. So I had all of these here. Mike even gave me some discs and some grinding pads, whatever. But some of this came from Grumman, which is, I don't know, some of the stuff is so old, I think the glue is delaminating. You see what I mean? But that's easily fixed. Anyway, I've got tons of this stuff. And then I got these kinds of, I got the roll locks, I got the sort of bayonet mount, I've got these guys here, tons of these for my variable speed grinder. There's just stuff everywhere. They're in everything. And I picked this up, maybe threw this out a while back. I had stuff in my nice toolbox over here, which needs some work. And I want to see if I can get the paint for this. I might just clear coat it. Right? Because look, what I got underneath and it rusted. And then there was all kinds of crap in here. It's like, what the hell do I need all of that? So, and then there was a whole bunch of stuff in here too. This, I think, is going to go underneath the lathe. But this has got really heavy duty rollers on it. So I've been putting, I mean, we could probably leave some of that in there, right? Fill it up more. But everything from clamps to punches to, there's just been so much stuff. I've got blocks in here, right? Gauge blocks that are rotting, different kinds of pullers. So I'm thinking this is going to be underneath the lathe. And then, like I said, my neighbor threw this out, so I've been putting sandpapers and stuff in there. So as I'm like in between, there's more up there. I'm not going to be flat boards. We got belts. I got belts in the other room. Little by little, this got cleaned up a lot. As you can see, I already started there. We got a bottle back there, another bottle spot, long rod, brazing rod, welding rod, starting to, this is where I keep a lot of the stuff in my new welder. So a little bit at a time, I'm cleaning up. That other rolling cart with the welder on it's in the other room is where I'm starting to keep grinders and some stuff that I'm working with. On that cart, a little bit at a time, right? But while I'm working on these kinds of projects. So I lost the footage on that, but I wanted to finish cleaning this up because this was just packed, absolutely packed. But somebody went to town with a MIG wire build up 2 inches high. So the shaft needs to go through there on these motors that I want to put on this thing. That's almost done. Right now I got to come up with a little piece of scrap metal, which I have. I got to cut and trim the size. I'm going to weld that on, clean up a few other spots. It's about 1 o'clock right now, so even though it's kind of still cold out, it's nice back here for a few hours, as long as the wind holds off. Yeah, crap's everywhere. But it's fun, right? Enjoying it. Nice having another table to pile crap on. All right, it's almost done. So as I'm cleaning this up, there's some kind of, you can smell it. It's like, it's not rust. There's very little of it left, but it was like a epoxy or something, and it's almost like they tried to weld some additional material in, or I don't know. Some of this is for me, right, digging in, but it just had gotten so bad. But it was just this weird brown, and like I said, it wasn't rust, it's like a plastic. So I just loaded up an old sander disc on there, kind of liberated on here. And then of course, in through here, the spacers, well, the tubing that they use is, seam tubing. So you have that seam crap. And then they welded it, so some of the weld penetrated. And so this looks like you could fit 1/2 inch or certainly 7/16. But over here, no. And then with the additional restrictions, you'd be lucky to get a 3/8, 5/16. Now, in most cases, 3/8 is probably all you're going to need. But listen, while I'm out, I passed through some bits through there, opened it up, cleaned it up, got the welding snots out of that as well. I'll fix this up, get rid of any burrs, finish the cleanup on it, throw a little paint in a few areas and call it, right? Anything that might scratch you or whatever. But at some point, you go to stick a bolt in there, and then you have to fix the problem. So let's just do it now and be done with it. All right, so you can see in these shots here, well, you can already see it come together, but here it is with Mike's engine going on it, prepping to go on it, and me actually getting the engine on that. In fact, actually, Big Mike's going to be here very shortly. That motor's got to come off of the stand because it's basically done. That's going to be all separate videos on, repowering Mike's Sunstar, Simplicity Sunstar tractor from the 80s, that tractor's from. So this is the first candidate, and these are very heavy motors. The one thing I didn't like was I had to use the hoist that we set up to support the motor and help me to turn the motor into different positions because the friction load is too high and the motor is too heavy and top heavy and I can't turn it. And as I was showing Mike with the bar, I put the bar on there, right, to help turn it. And there's a little bolt on the bottom so I can stow it. But with this scenario, it's too difficult. And I didn't want it to flip. And if you put a really big bar on it, yeah, you could do it, but then you could wind up flipping the whole stand because of the amount of leverage. So nothing's ever perfect. I may also make a collar that allows me to raise and lower the height of the stand, the working height of the stand. That can all come separately. But it allowed me to finish up Mike's motor on there. Now, some of the other motors are not going to be as tall, right? Anything with a vertical shaft should be able to sit on there. That's adjustable sort of feet arrangement that we have. And I can center it so that the shaft will go through. You'll have to take off the pulley, but you're working on a motor that either you're going to put in or you just took out and you want to maybe take it apart or see if you can fix it. Like I said, I've got tons of them out there. And some of them are already still in sort of ghost machines that'll probably get parted out. Whatever the case, right, it's a step forward, and it's just a fun video on fabrication, something I enjoy doing. I do have a lot of other things. I created that table that goes up or down. That was all from scrap. Check that out. There's quite a number of fabrication videos that I have that I'm not particularly known for, but I do want to get more into it, and hopefully this is enjoyable and helpful, and I really enjoy doing it. I'll see you guys in the next one. Arch's Garage.